Hello guys and welcome back for another Eternum video. After 2 weeks since the start of Season 9, the time has finally come and I'm making this short update on my wind chill build for Fire and Ice. A lot of times I'm getting requests on stream about it, so now you will be able to see what exactly I'm using for it and how does it work. We all know that this build had an amazing performance and crazy good results in the meta, and now even after the changes of Season 9, I believe it still holds strong against most of your opponents. Due to some changes on the artifacts, however, small adjustments were made to the few items in order to guarantee again the top results for all of you ice cream lovers out there. Okay, so let's begin by going over the few nerfs, like people like to call them, to the fire staff in the beginning of season and why I actually think that those are not a big of a deal. The first small change to the smolder damage by reducing it to 4.5% from the previous 5 is basically non-existent. The difference in numbers would be at best a high one-digit number, so I don't believe that this has any impact on your gameplay. Fury Restoration's passive getting reduced by 3% from the previous 10 to now only 7 is probably the most impactful nerf to the Fire Staff, as we all know how important the cooldown reduction is after heavy attacks. Pillar of Fire getting 5 seconds extra cooldown and getting the same timer as Fireball made a lot of people lose their minds, but I personally think that again we don't have that much of an impact. The main reason for me believing this is due to the fact that you want to secure at least 3 to 4 smolder stacks before using your pillar so you can maximize your damage. This change also puts both of your core abilities of Pillar and Fireball on the same cooldown, meaning that your burst potential will always come down more or less at the same time. The last two fixes were unknown to me, as I'm not really sure what they were talking about when they mentioned some smoke of Meteor Shower. Was that a server burning down smoke or just a regular Monday joint from the AGS devs? I'm really not sure about it. Those were the small and in my opinion not so impactful changes to the Fire Staff at the Season 9 start. The other changes, however, to all the other weapons and of course the overall gameplay were way more impactful, and they for me shaped the Fire Staff to be one step closer again towards the top instead of the bottom of the pack. But anyway, you already know those things and you came here to check the updated build for Wind Chill for Season 9, so let's get it started with the armor pieces. As you know, I was running previously with Tumbler Feet Wraps and of course in combination with Ankh. However, now we are changing this artifact and we are going for the Wizard's Hat. The quicker heavy attacks on both of your magical weapons can provide really powerful pressure on your opponents if you manage to of course keep your mana above 50% and of course more importantly to keep your aim quick enough. My choice of perks remain heavily invested into Shirking Heals, as I'm using it on all 5 pieces of gear, followed up by 4 enchanted wards and of course the necessary 2 perks for the Ice Gauntlet, which are Healing Tomb and Unending Toe. Ideally you want to put Vital Synergy on your chest piece and Shirking Energy on your pants, but if this is getting really specific and expensive for you, feel free to replace them with something you like. When it comes down to the weapons, the build is remaining with the 2 same weapons from the previous season. Fire Staffs is going again with Sundering Stacks, Alacritus Punishment and Play Crits for the extra crispy 1vx potential, while the Ice Gauntlet is a crafted piece with Alacritus Punishment, Wind Chill and of course Keenly Empowered. Since this is a really expensive craft for the Gauntlet, I can suggest you to go a bit cheaper by aiming and getting the SWAT Ice Gauntlet from the PvP track. This one will provide you with Alacritus Punishment and Vicious, so you can simply add Wind Chill perk as last third perk, and of course you will lose 4 attribute points, but overall the damage would not be that lower. Another small change was made to the jewelry pieces of the build as well. Previously I was using Ankh for the extra heals and mainly due to the many sources of healing in the build. With the changes of tumblers and the nerf to Healing Breeze, however, I think that ideally you want to replace the artifact amulet with Endless Thirst Earring. This way you can secure even better perks for your amulet by choosing Slash or Thrust Protection, Shirking Empower and Refreshing. For my ring I also made a small change because I was running Ice Damage, Hearty and Healing Breeze, and now instead of the Healing Breeze I prefer to opt for Refreshing, so I can also finish 4 out of 4 refreshings at the end. And of course, the last piece of the puzzle is the artifact earring Endless Thirst. As for last perk, I also use Nimbo. Due to the fact that the cooldowns of all survival potions are not affected neither by the passive of the earring and also neither by refreshing toast perk, I believe that Nimbo is the best choice to complete your build. When it comes to the skill trees, everything remains as it was, and you can see that on your screen. For the attributes, I leave it up to you to decide if you want to experiment or not, but I personally think that going for 25 dexterity, 200 constitution and 444 intelligence is the best and safest options. Of course, if you want, you can go a bit more into focus for extra cooldown and even extra healing if you reach 50 focus, or lower your constitution level and try to get even more damage in the form of intelligence. The heart rune for the build can be flexible depending on your opponents, but after the nerf of Stoneform, maybe you want to do like me and replace it with Dark Ascent. Another good choice is of course Biobomb, which can provide even more pressure against healers or their friends. Well, I guess that this is everything about the Wind Chill build for Season 9, guys. I'm convinced that this build is even better than before because of those quicker heavy attacks, and if you still didn't test the Wizard Hat, I recommend you to definitely go and practice a bit with it. Believe me, once you get the feeling for those quicker heavy attacks, it would be not so easy to drop this artifact and to throw it away. If you have any questions which still remain unanswered, or you simply want to discuss something about the build, please let me know in the comments or in our Discord community server. There you can find also other builds for different type of content and playstyles. If you don't want to miss another video, there is only one thing you need to do, which is equal to one click of your mouse. Now I must say goodbye, but it won't be for too long, so thank you so much for watching and I will see you on the next one.